Prince Harry is back in London and he is there for a pre-trial hearing in a case regarding his privacy and the press. And we just wanted to break it down for you today because everybody's been anticipating when is Harry and Meghan coming back to the UK? We've been wondering if they're going to show up for the coronation, which is on May 6th. So they were given the invitation, but we don't know whether they're going to come back or not. And so now the big question is, okay, he came back, but what's going on? What are we going to discover with this hearing? Harry has said that he's going to make it his life's work to make sure that the press stops being so intrusive. So that is his life's work. And today we're going to discuss this court case with Harry and the pretrial hearing, which includes Elton John, Sadie Frost, a few other people, David Furnish, I think, and Elizabeth Hurley. So let's break it down, guys. I am Deanna from Hot for History, and I'm really excited to be here with you guys. If you want to follow me, please do subscribe on my YouTube channel, Hot for History. I'm also on a couple of other platforms for you to check out. And I appreciate all of your help. I really cover some royal history because I believe we are living through this very historic time with the royal family. We haven't seen a monarchy shift like this, most of us in our lifetimes. And so we're going to see this brand new coronation, this new monarchy, and it is what some people call a you-know-what show that's going on right now with Harry and Meghan and the royal family and this shifting of the guard, let's call it. But right now, today, we're going to be talking about Prince Harry's court case. He is in town. He is in the UK. And the big question is, where is King Charles? Where is Will? Are they going to connect? Aren't they going to connect? It doesn't look like they are going to connect. So we're just going to kind of run through what some outlets are saying. Basically, the big question is like, is it intentional? Is it intentional that the king is out of town, or is it just, coincidence? Obviously, I don't know. You could take it either way. Maybe they planned those trips around it. I don't know. But Harry, as we know, relocated to California because he was trying to escape the whole media thing, all of that. So, but now he is taking on a new lawsuit, and apparently there are several. Apparently he has like 30 different lawsuits or something regarding his privacy, and especially the privacy with his wife. So this is he is suing. This is a lawsuit against the Associated Newspapers Limited, and Harry is suing the publisher of the Daily Mail and other tabloids for privacy violations. And the celebrity plaintiffs in the case also include Elton John, David Furnish, actress Elizabeth Hurley, Sadie Frost, Baroness Doreen Lawrence, and politician Sir Simon Hughes. So Hamlin's is the law firm that's representing the celebrities, and they said that they are the victims of abhorrent criminal activity and gross breaches of privacy in a press release to ABC News. So in this press release, the law firm alleges that Associate Newspapers Limited, that's the Daily Mail, hired, this is crazy stuff, crazy accusations, but that they actually hired private investigators to secretly place listening devices inside people's cars and homes, commissioned individuals to surreptitiously listen into and record people's live private telephone calls while they were taking place. They paid, these allegations are really intense. They say that they paid police officials with corrupt links to private investigators for inside sensitive information, impersonated individuals to obtain medical information from private hospitals. We have a HIPAA here, right? But they impersonated people to get that information, clinics and treatment centers by deception, and that they access bank accounts, credit histories, and financial transactions through illicit means and manipulations. Now, obviously, the publisher has totally denied these claims because they are really huge claims. But Prince Harry, Elton John, and Frost, they showed up. Now, they didn't even need to show up to this pretrial hearing, but they wanted everybody to know how serious this was. It's a 4-day hearing to consider the publisher's request to have the suit dismissed. But Harry returned to court, basically trying to let everybody know, hey, this is not a joke. We're very serious about it. So Harry's first return to the UK, though, because we've all been waiting, has made, this has been since the Queen's funeral. He has not been there in September. So now everybody wants to know about the relationship between the King and, Will and Harry. And, we're not really seeing anything because they're out of town. Apparently it's some kind of spring break for the kids. And so Will and Kate are like, oh, we're out of here. And then the King was going to go to France, but instead he decided he was going to go to Germany because, France is having all of these protests. So he's going to Germany for some kind of state official event, which, looked amazing. So what we don't know, but we always, try to guess is like, was this intentional that they timed it to be out of town during that time? Are they not talking? What's the deal? So it says Charles may want his son at the coronation, but palace sources conveyed to the Telegraph that he isn't ready for him to just pop in unannounced. So obviously with all the planning of the coronation, it's like they want them to come, but they don't want to have this, let's say, blow up before the coronation. Prince Harry flew commercial. Well, there you go. I'm sure it was first class from California to London, especially for the 4-day preliminary hearing. He wanted to show his support. It says that he stayed with friends. Now, he could have stayed in his estate, right? He could have stayed there, but because apparently he still has the place until around the time of the coronation, but apparently he didn't stay there. So I don't know if his cousin's staying there or what. So what exactly is King Charles up to? We do know that basically he is in Germany. So the BBC is calling this a power play. I don't know if you guys agree if this is a power play or not, but he's saying, why has the prince, shown up? And it says he has thrown down a gauntlet. This is what this article says. To the newspaper group he believes has made his life hell, and which he and others claim used illegal means to do so. So here's what we're not going to see in the press. We're not going to see a lot of the details of the lawsuits because they're all being sued. So in Harry's defense, and what we all need to be aware of is that what we're watching and the headlines that we're seeing are headlines that are not, they're going to deflect from what the actual case is because they don't want us to know that. They want us to think that this is all about the royal family and their feud. So they're deflecting it like, where is the king? Where, they're going to deflect it because they don't want anybody really knowing all the details to this case. They just hope it's dismissed. They don't want, I don't think any of them are going to approve full out articles of all the details of the press in this particular case, right? So they say it was less of a shock to anyone who's followed the battles with media and specifically the Daily Mail. After all, Harry has vowed to make reform of the media his life's work. The press is making it seem like it's only Harry. That is true. But like you said, there are others claiming wrongdoings. So this is from Theodora. So the press is making it seem like it's only Harry, but his presence obviously is a huge, I think it's, if you do want to make an impact and have it less likely that this case is going to be dismissed, you would have the prince come in here and talk about it. So I think that is, Harry knew that, and that's why he showed up, because it was a good move on his part. But yeah, the press is going to make it look like it's only him, but there are many people that they've done this to. But obviously he's probably, the one that's in the forefront now. So if it says, if you want a sense of his priorities, this is it. A prince estranged from his family, now living more than 5,000 miles from London. He flies all from Los Angeles to walk through these historic doors of royal courts. So basically what they're saying is he means business. The BBC is acknowledging that, hey, Harry's like, he's intense about this. We still don't know if he will attend his father's coronation, as we discussed, but he wanted to be in court for that. Prince Harry does not mince his words when it comes to the media. In his autobiography, he refers to them as a dreadful mob of dweebs and crones and cut-rate criminals and clinically diagnosable sadists along Fleet Street. If they are doing what they're accusing them of, basically paying off police, trying to act like there's somebody else to get medical records. They're basically going through the garbage. That's what they do. It is kind of gross, but he says he has them in his sight, turning up at court as much as possible. It's about optics as open justice. And it is true, because they might be more likely to drop this if you hadn't shown up. So the Sun Online had the story at the tops of its website, splashing with the headlights, "Day in Court, Smiling Harry makes surprise appearance." The Times, Guardian, and Telegraph also put this high on the digital services. Users had to scroll long way down the mail online to find the story about the Duke's appearance in court. That's what I was saying. Hi everyone. So the case has not yet reached trial. So that's the other thing. It's like he's here already, and the case has not even gone to trial. If it does eventually go to full trial, it will be a hugely significant moment. I'm going to get to some of the meat here, because he does talk about the royal family or the institution and what that implies. So again, it talks about that. The allegations include the use of bugging devices put inside people's cars and homes, listening devices to private phone calls, as we discussed, and other gross breaches of privacy. Associated Newspapers categorically denies the pretrial hearing is not something that he would need to go to, but it's about whether the case is going to go forward. And let me see. So there were also barrister representing the BBC and the Guardian. And then by turning up, he's made it clear, what he wants to do about this. He wants it to be serious. In May, in May, there's another trial, guys, against the Mirror Group newspapers, MGN, which owns the Daily Mirror, over accusations of phone hacking between 1996 and 2011. So for anybody who wants to blame Meghan on this, it was before he even met her. Thank you. It is complicated. It's complicated. That's why I'm reading these and trying to break it down. So the Duke is also trying to bring a case against News Group, which owns The Sun and now defunct News of the World. And he walked into court today, and he was surrounded by cameras. The BBC just makes this comment. "I could not help wondering if one of them was his." In other words, one of the cameras taking pictures of him going in was from, some kind of new, let's say, I don't know what, a new reality series or something. "I could not help wondering if one of them was his." Harry and Meghan are reportedly to be the second most successful documentary series. So now they want to know, okay, is the very fact that he's going to court, part of this more, it's ironic. Is he trying to get more footage by going to court and suing them? So that's what they're trying to say. Here's the thing that I want you guys to think of when I'm reading all of this stuff, because I do want to talk about it. Remember his history. Harry, so let's talk about it for a second. Harry, as a reminder, we all know this, but it's just, I want it to be in your heads while we're kind of reading through this. He watched his mother and father get divorced. He's had to live with, getting pictures taken all of this time. Brutal divorce, all of that, tough childhood because of it. Then his mother is killed, and the official notice, because there was press in there, it was that she was killed because of this outrageously intrusive press, right? Then, so all of that blows up. Then as he's trying to deal with his grief, he starts doing all kinds of things, and then he's in the press a lot. Then he doesn't feel the support from his family, right? He doesn't feel any support from his family. And so that blows up. And then he marries this woman, and they do bring up, even though there's the question of whether the royal family, was racist in their question about Archie's skin color, but we do know the royal family historically was very involved in, slavery and all of that. So I'm not suggesting that. I'm just saying, think of the context. So now Meghan and Harry are basically chased around, which in some of our opinions is like, okay, well, that happens when you become a royal. But if you take it from his perspective as somebody that, my mother died from this, Maybe Will didn't have the same vibe. Maybe Catherine didn't have the same vibe, but it's terrifying to him, right? So then he's like, I'm going to make this my life's mission, because he may have a very deep-seated belief that this is a way for him to honor his mother. And I'm just trying to project and maybe see what it could be, honor his mother by actually bringing them to court. Do you guys see what I'm saying? Well, that it might be they might be the new Kardashians. So let's read this a second, and then I want you guys to comment on what I just said about this being. In other words, some of us may look at it and go, "Oh my gosh, why is he doing this?" Just do the never complain, never explain thing, which there's a lot of wisdom in it, because I think Harry is complaining too much. But on the other hand, you can't just stifle somebody that much when they've gone through so much. You have a lovely name. My little son is Theodore. Great point about them steering it towards implicating only Harry. Yeah. So this is a Yahoo article. Again, some of these sources are just copies and others are like, I don't know. Okay. So though business brings Harry to London for a brief visit, he won't have a chance to meet with his family. He's currently attending the days-long hearing, but where are his, where's Will? Where's everybody? Harry notified, apparently, according to Bazaar.com, Harry did notify his father, King Charles, of his surprise visit before flying to from California to London, but was told that the monarch, now when you hear that was told, that means he didn't have a direct conversation with his father, that the monarch would be too busy, a source says. The king was originally slated to be in France, and then he ended up canceling that trip, but now we know he's in Germany. King Charles and Queen Camilla departed today for a royal tour of Germany, but Buckingham Palace confirms to Bazaar that the monarch was not in Windsor or London before his departure. So he was already out of town, apparently. Meanwhile, a spokesperson for Prince William and Catherine tells Bazaar that the family is not in Windsor due to Easter holidays. Amid the hearing, Harry is staying at Frogmore Cottage. So that's what I thought, because they still have that residence until they have to fully leave. And so that's where he's staying. In a witness statement released yesterday, Harry alleged that the royal institution did not fully. Now, this is okay, guys. This is where, all of the headlines are all about. And again, I'm not trying to defend Harry, because I have my own, they rub me the wrong way in many ways, but it also really rubs me the wrong way that I do think that there's some truth to them sort of being the poster children for a deflection of the media to be the bad person in the story. I do think that. So I think they're always kind of the, scapegoats in many ways, but they're also perpetuating that by some actions of theirs. But now all of the media is focused not on what the press has done, but the fact that Harry is implicating now the royal family. And I'm going to tell you what he says. He calls it the institution. So it's not necessarily that he's saying the royal family did this, but let's read it. So Yahoo basically is saying that Harry alleged that the royal institution did not fully disclose all of the details concerning a phone hacking incident by the British publisher. So that he's basically accusing them of lying. The institution was without a doubt, this is quotes, withholding information from me for a long time about NGN's phone hacking, and that has only become clear in recent years as I have pursued my own claim with different legal advice and representation. It is not an exaggeration to say that the bubble burst in terms of what I knew in 2020 when I moved out of the United Kingdom. So this is the thing. I remember this in his book. He was started to talk about how he tried to get legal help within the institution, but he could never get it within the institution because they just would never offer it to him. So he had to get his own legal advice, and he had to get his own legal help because they weren't really helping him. So, but now he's implicating them. It does seem, in my opinion, I think Harry's very much a control guy. He's like, I need to know everything. And he has a little bit of paranoia, but probably rightfully so because of what he's gone through. But there's so much hypocrisy here because he lashes out at them for doing exactly what he does, so he overshares. My kids call it oversharing. He tells everything. He has to tell everything. And in my opinion, maturity, if you're a mature individual, you learn how to kind of, even though I'm feeling that intensely, Do I need to share that with the media? So my point with him is that he's like processing all of his personal psychotherapy publicly. And it's as if it's just spewing out when you finally address an issue. And I think that because of Megan, she's either encouraging him to spill the beans, or two things. That is true. She's encouraging him to spill the beans because she likes that. She's American. We always talk about that type of thing, like just express yourself. But also that he feels safer not being there. But in my opinion, it's just too much. But at the same time, I kind of get it. I know that I sound wishy-washy about it. But do you guys understand what I'm saying? That it is possible to have both, to understand a little bit of both sides while not necessarily endorsing, all of the drama. I mean, that's kind of how I feel. So he says the royal family, without a doubt, withheld information about phone hacking. In a witness statement submitted before his civil claim against Daily Mail publisher Associated Newspaper, Harry said that he accepted his family's rule to never complain and never explain when dealing with the media. And while discussing the phone hacking claims, then against newspaper group, Harry said, I became aware that I had a claim that I could bring in 2018. The institution was without a doubt holding information from me for a long time about NGN's phone hacking, and that has only become clear in recent years as I have pursued my own claim with different legal advice and representation. Now, I mean, withholding that information from him, if he's the subject of the phone hacking, I think that's a problem. So the Duke of Sussex is one of a number. We know that, speaking out about how he discovered that other people within associated with the royal family had brought phone hacking claims against the press. He said, it is not an exaggeration to say that the bubble burst. We just discussed this. There was never any centralized discussion between us about who had brought claims, as each office in the institution is siloed. So they're talking about the separation from these different offices. There is this misconception that we are all in constant communication with one another, but it is not true. The institution made it clear that we did not need to know anything about phone hacking, and it was made clear to me that the royal family did not sit in the witness box because that could open up a can of worms. So he's saying the royal family knew about the phone hacking, didn't tell me, and didn't report it, even though it's totally illegal. Like, how did they address it then? How did they handle it? The prince and princess, the prince said the royal family's strict no comment policy meant even the worst or most suspicious articles were often never brought to his attention. Now, that's where I say, okay, Harry, like, do you really need to know everything? Like, maybe they don't want you to know because they want you to just live your life. And a lot of it is just fluff, right? So, and how are they going to tell Harry about all of the different press releases? How are they going to tell him? So in court documents released, Harry claims his brother William was among the targets of a private investigator, Glenn Mulcair, who worked for both Mail newspapers. So now this was in 2005, 2006. In his statement of claims, Harry says Mulcair, through former News and World executive Greg, I can't pronounce it, Miskew, provided unlawfully and illegally obtained information and offered a menu of illegal services to an employee of the Mail. So there's a sketchy guy basically that's saying, you want a phone tapping? You want me to find this? You want me to find that? And that's what he's basically saying. Prince Harry is suing news outlets. So he is making sure he is the one with the exclusive on everything about him and Meghan. And it's all about pounds and dollars. And that's what the one guy was saying, is like, I see the slew of reporters, but I can't help, this is the BBC. I can't help thinking and wondering if one of those photographers and reporters taking pictures and videos of Harry going into court isn't one of his own. They're saying, like, maybe this actually is his own press. So yeah, I mean, I think that's true. That's why it's so sick. It's like, on the one hand, I can understand why he's been so hurt, but it's so wild because it's almost like this addictive endorphin rush, sorry to call it that way, where he has to then play the press, but he wants to control it. So he doesn't want to totally, it looks like, this is my opinion, like he doesn't want to totally, be away from the press because he's constantly in it, but he also wants to be in control of them. And I don't think he knows how to not be in that dance. I think his whole life it's been, how do I manage this dance? And there is a way to get away from it, just kind of quiet down and just, start to, I don't know, knit or something, do something like that. I'm not sure, but he is a public figure. And so he's trying to basically use what he does know about the press to his benefit. But Christina's right in the sense that it's financially, beneficial to him too. So that is the truth. You are absolutely right. So Prince Harry's bringing the action along with others, which we know, we discussed: Elizabeth Hurley, Sadie Frost, Elton John, David Furnish, and the Baroness Doreen Lawrence and Clarendon OBE. Okay. So Harry closed his written statement, says, "I'm bringing this claim because," I'm sorry. When I hear this, I think of all of the people that make fun of him, because there's this guy on TikTok that actually does these funny impersonations of him. But anyhow, he says, "I'm bringing this claim because I love my country and I remain deeply concerned by the unchecked power, influence, and criminality of associated. The British public deserve to know the full extent of this cover-up, and I feel it is my duty to expose." Today, Prince Harry arrived at the Royal Courts of Justice for the second day of the Privacy Court. Do you guys think, because I'm just wondering, do you think when he says, do you think his end goal is to actually just kind of bring down and expose the royal family for all of this, for basically keeping back criminal activity? And if he does, isn't he vulnerable for stuff? I don't know. I mean, it just seems like, I want to know if he understands that, he's playing with matches. It sounds like it's a very scary place to be, because it could just be, okay, we're talking about the press, fine. But now you're basically saying that the royal family has kept these lies, and in these lies, some of that stuff was illegal, and they should have told, I don't know, Scotland Yard or something. So anyhow, that's basically the case. So before I go into this next thing, let's read some of these comments. I feel like the public knows the royals use the media. I agree. I mean, I don't think it is true. We're not surprised. We know that they use the media, but is it often public knowledge that, okay, they find somebody phone tapping in their place, in the palace, and they just handle it themselves? I guess because they wouldn't want to make it a big story. So we don't know all the details regarding that. So yeah, we do know that they manipulate the media. So it wasn't a surprise in Harry's book when he was talking about it. There were a lot of things that was like, duh, we already know that. I don't know about you if you read the book, but that's what I thought. So that was my opinion. Okay, so now let's just talk about some little stuff. I feel like the public know. Okay, we read that. All right, so this is just, I don't know. I call it rich people's problems. King Charles is starting to modernize the monarchy by reducing the finances of the royal family, including, let's be in shock here, making the royal family pay rent. Or people who have been making money off of the subsidized rent from basically this sovereign grant have to start paying their rent from whatever their income or stipend is. So let's talk about that. So he says, after the coronation in May, Vice Admiral Sir Tony Johnstone Burt and the keeper of the privy purse, Sir Michael Stevens, will look at inefficiencies in the top-heavy royal household. This means that members of the royal family will be expected to pay for their own rent. I'm shocked. That's so awful. And personal finances, including their homes. Several extended members of the family have been using subsidized palace accommodations for London apartments for years, and that is expected to come to an end. Properties will be let at commercial rates going forward. Oh, girl, commercial rates? Okay, you know that's not cheap. The aim is to decrease the number of royals financially dependent on the crown. And one of them, by the way, was that woman, Angela Kelly, who was the Tiara Gate person. I just talked about her, that the Queen gave her a little apartment by Windsor. And there's a lot of people like that. And now they're saying you have to pay your rent. The aim is to decrease the number of royals financially dependent on the crown and offer competitive salaries, benefits, and pensions. So now they're going to maybe, because I heard honestly that the way that they pay some of these people is not very good. So if they want to be competitive and not pay the rent and have them pay the rent, then they better pay them competitive salaries. So Charles reportedly wants the monarchy to be quote unquote fit for purpose with effective people in effective positions doing effective jobs and being paid appropriately. Okay, yeah, pay them better. He is working closely with the son and heir to the throne, Prince William, to plan and carry out these charges. In September, shortly after the Queen's death, royal expert Katie Nichols discussed the finances of the royal family and why estimations of their wealth are pretty conservative. In other words, they're much more loaded than we think. Forbes magazine estimates the royal family's overall wealth to be, you guys ready? 28 billion pounds. So calculate that into dollars. The royal family takes the profits from the crown estate, which is their portfolio of land, which basically is a lot of land around the country. The rest goes to the government. As of last year, they took 99 million in terms of sovereign grants. So Nichols said that the Queen voluntarily paid her income tax, but she didn't have to. She didn't have to. She got expenditure down to the royal family, essentially costing each member of the British public less than £2. So ultimately, what's harder to put a price on is what they generate for the country. Like, how do you really know their value? Like the value. And again, when I think about that, I think about entertainment. So we go back to Harry. He's in the public eye. Well, isn't that what the royal family's all about anyhow? It's like this public, image of England. Well, the UK, pardon me. I never get it technically right. So how valuable are they? How do they have all that money? So anyhow, just bringing it up, guys, just bringing it up. All right. So now we're going to talk about this article here. Sorry. About Meghan. Let's talk about Meghan's marriage into the royal family is a fairy tale gone horribly wrong. Okay. So now we're talking about Meghan. Let's see what this guy has to say. His name's Brian Cox with The Independent, and he is saying, he's claimed that Meghan Markle's marriage into the royal family is a fairy tale that went horribly wrong. Now I'm being blocked out of the article. Hold on a second. In a new interview with Radio Times, the Succession star said that he understood why Meghan was attracted to marrying into the royal family due to its fairy tale image. And then he says the monarchy should be, he's an abolitionist. He said it should be abolished. Do you guys think it should be abolished? They're the product of an institution which is moribund. Okay, I'm sorry. I'd have to get out my SAT dictionary, and shouldn't exist anymore. But that's a difficult situation where Meghan comes from. And it's understandable that she sees something and it does look like a fairy tale, but it was a fairy tale that went horribly wrong, he says. Cox added that he considered Harry and Meghan to be victims and that the royal family fundamentally in this day and age doesn't make sense. It comes as a contradiction to Cox's comments made last month when he said that Meghan knew what she was getting into when she married Prince Harry and subsequently joined the royal family. You can't go into a system where somebody's already been trained to behave in a certain way and then just expect them to cut themselves off. So he was talking about Harry moving. I mean, she knew what she was getting into. In my opinion, we shouldn't have a monarchy. It's not viable. It doesn't make any sense. F it. Move on. And so the Troy actor has now said that those comments were taken out of context and that the pair were instead victims. So he also praised the Queen. What do you guys think of that? Like, do you consider yourself a monarchist or an abolitionist? Okay, the Queen was paying income tax and income tax is money laundering, please. No, it's history and should not be eradicated. Okay. So here's the thing. I think even with all of this drama, I do think in general, most people in the UK like, having the royal family. And I think, obviously I'm in the United States and I find it fascinating. I think there's the romantic side of us that's like, wow, that is so interesting and so fascinating. So we don't really want it eradicated. The king is, I mean, we're all talking about it. Think of the value of what the press brings, like even what they could bring in fashion and like, all of this. I read somewhere there where Charlotte is like like the most wealthy, royal child, and you wouldn't think so, but because she's a girl, and I think a little bit if she was more in the public and at some point would be considered a valuable person. What they inherit, but also what they bring to the table. So, I mean, it's hard to say. So the court case is the court case. All of this leading up to the coronation of King Charles. I think King Charles sued the media for, you know what is interesting about that is that even though there's that thing, okay, never complain, never explain, even the Queen sued them. So there is that. The royal family has not sued. They've definitely, Harry's not the first person to sue. It's just that he might be the first person to sue without, let's say, the oversight of his office or the institution, and without the lawyers from the royal family. That may be something that's new, but he's definitely not the first one first of the royal family to sue. That is for sure. So, all right. So I am curious. It's like every day there's something new. And now the royal family, they're in Germany. I'm doing a little piece on how German is King Charles anyhow. How German is the royal family. Not that there's anything wrong with it. I did my 23andMe. I've been in the United States my whole entire life. 96% German. I've never even been to Germany yet, except for a layover in Frankfurt. I need to actually go over there. Great-grandfather's from Germany, but I'm 96% German, apparently. So but in their case, there is this interesting history about them attempting and wanting to keep it German, and also the connections with the Nazis during World War II, especially with Edward VIII. I'm just bringing up. Said that the media's version of 2005 regarding the private journal. Yeah. So, you know what, Theodora? He should have sued them for the tampon gate case, although it was highly entertaining for all of us. They're very German. With this next generation, with Catherine has like no German blood. She's like all Brit. Meghan has more German blood than Catherine has. She has like this Irish descent and some German in her. So anyhow, like I said, not that there's anything wrong with it, because I'm German. I love being from that part of the world. I'm just saying that there's some interesting things regarding them wanting to sort of stay like that. And then also that questionable connection. I think having them is interesting, though it's very Hunger Games. I like how you think. It is very Hunger Games, and it's the family is indebted to the public. Yeah, that's their contract. Like in some ways they're, like you said, indebted. Absolutely. And I like having them too. I think it makes England very interesting, and there's such a rich history with royalty there that I love. I love that history. I've hardly even touched upon American history in my videos yet. They have been intertwined with Germany, especially since Victoria's children. Yeah. So many of the leaders over there are, from Queen Victoria. Prince William supposedly has all 13 bloodlines in him. Interesting. There you go. That's a fascinating fact. Okay, guys, I am going to go. I'm Deanna from Hot for History. Please do subscribe and like my videos and share. I'm going on this whole thing with Marilyn Monroe in my shorts right now and some Hollywood history. And we are going to dig a little bit deeper into the royal family as we head up to the coronation. After that, hopefully we'll be able to go on to regular history. But it's so fascinating right now, and I appreciate all of your support. So have a great and blessed day. Bye.